Welcome. Ziggy1X here with another NieR reincarnation video, and these are quickly becoming some of my favorite videos to do. It's in part because we got such a huge arena meta shakeup with Summer Yurie, but what I'm going to do here is I've taken 10 battles. Currently I'm in rank 1 and in my bracket, and so I've taken 10 battles of some of the best teams that I found, tried to spread them out a little bit in the variety of the type of team that is offered. I've gone for all speed teams, I've gone for tanky teams, I've gone for hybrid teams, and I've really tried to give as much of an example as I can in here as possible. So with no further ado, we're gonna turn on this smooth synth wave that is typically in a far plane video. I'm gonna channel my inner far plane here because I love the smooth wave that he's got going in the background. And I'm gonna just let this play out. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on in. Okay, so you'll see here, first of all, we've got an Akeha, Yurie, Yudil team. Now, Akeha can prove to be difficult if the team is tanky enough. And so what will happen is that we'll see the tanks soak up all the damage, and then Akeha just come out of the gate and sometimes one-shot your tank or one-shot someone else, and then she'll do the big AoE nuke. It's really terrifying. She's a powerful character. By the way, I see Abyssal Mirror Yudil doing this, but better. So watch out for that guy in arena. He's gonna be trouble if you don't take him seriously. So you can see here that I've got all my abilities charging up. They already fired off their abilities. Their Akeha, you'll notice, didn't have a chance to go. But what's happening right now is because the Yudil has had enough time to stagger out before my team started their attack, I don't have to go after the tank anymore. Yudil doesn't have his provoke up. His is timed per turn. So what happens is that because my team is so staggered here, Yudil's provoke goes away, and I'm able to target whoever I want, which is basically, effectively, the same thing that Summer F66X does. And so even without bothering putting her into my team, I build a really tanky team, I turtle it out, and then I just let them use up all their attacks. This is all running on auto, by the way. Every single one of these battles you're gonna see is running on auto. So this is how these teams perform on auto. You can rely on them performing similar to this in defense, except for prioritizing the enemy team that you're attacking first. You will be the enemy team, so your abilities will be prioritized first, so take that into account. Well, you'll see here, this goes really smoothly for me. All of my team pretty much finishes at full health, and not a whole lot to worry about. It's a long battle, but the way these tanky teams go, they're going to be long battles. You can speed them up. You can always put the battle on 2x if you want to. Let's go into the next one here. Okay, who do we got here? Okay, this is a mirror match. This is precisely the same team that I'm running, and as far as I can actually, this is the team that I based this team off of. I fought them in arena, really liked the way it looked, and so I kind of started trying to reconstruct, and I kept crashing into this team. This player, if they're watching this video, will know exactly what I'm talking about. I kept crashing into this team, kind of testing the way the abilities played out, like how much damage they were doing, trying to match mine up to how much they were doing, the timing of everything. And I think I got it pretty close to the way this guy's playing it out. You will see here, as this fight goes on, how close this match is, okay? These mirror matches are always a little bit of a toss-up, but when you're on the offensive, mirror matches usually go in your favor because you get to play things out, you get to time whichever abilities you're going to be using, how you're going to be prioritizing certain things, who you're going to be targeting. This always cuts in favor of the attacker. So in my case, I left it on full auto, which you'll see is in part why this battle gets so close. Now, the only thing that I'm doing to fudge things in my favor is I'm selecting my first target. And one of the things you'll notice look for this in upcoming battles, because there's several of these where it happens. When you've got the enemy team in front of you and one of them has either the Subjugation Water Spear, I always just associate it with Noelle. The Subjugation Water Spear or Lavania's Recollection of Dust weapon, both of those weapons put up a provoke ability. And so what happens is when I'm auto-targeting one of the enemy players, or enemy units, what I'll do is I won't target the unit that is going to throw up the provoke, because what's going to happen is my team is automatically going to target the provoke character first, and then second, they're going to target the character that I select, and then third, they'll finish off the third. So it's just basically less clicks. And I'm literally going into these battles oftentimes clicking once and just letting the battle play out, and that is who I select to take out first. So you can see here just how doggone stinking close this fight is. I mean, that was close. That was a close fight for me. I don't have very many that end up this way, but it was because it was a mirror match team. Let's look at who we got here next. Okay, this is a good example. This is actually a very dangerous team for the current setup that I have right now. It's in part because Lars does so much damage, and Lars does a lot of damage. Now you'll see here he is not using the EX sword, he's using his own signature weapon, which means it doesn't do quite as much damage, so I'm a little bit insulated from just the sheer stupid amounts of damage that Lars can do when he's really cranking out the pain. Now, when we get done with these runs, I'm going to just tell you right now, I've got Yudil set up with, on his character, water resistance, light resistance, and wind resistance. That's all three on his character. The debris is a water resistance debris, and then the two weapons are subjugation sub-weapons, one of them offering wind resistance, 20%, the other one offering light resistance 20%, because these are the elements that we are running into currently most. And there are a lot of teams out there, that are running light, water, and wind. That is your most common elemental combination that you're going to see. So if you plan ahead for a team like this and you build it to, and this is, by the way, is this the tricky fight? No, it isn't. There's another one that's basically almost this exact team. And I won't say the player's name because they've built an amazing team, so I'll let them surprise you, but it's a horrifying team. I try to avoid it at all costs, and you'll see the team. I built a specific team to counter it. We'll save that for the end. Most of this is just showcasing just how well these tanky teams work. But where was I before this? Oh yes, so you're going to be running into those three elements mostly: wind, water, and light. So if you build out your resistances to accommodate for that, you put all three of those resistances, for example, which I did on my tank, they're able to weather a lot of hits from those incoming elemental attacks. And then you make sure that your companions are offering you elemental resistance across the board for those as well. You've built up a significant amount of elemental resistance. That is in addition to debuffing the attack of the enemy. That is in addition to debuffing the crit rate of the enemy, so on and so forth. So what you're doing in part with these tanky teams is you're making your team super tanky, but you're also making the other team significantly weaker. That's what makes these teams work so well, because there really is a lot of damage coming at us in the arena. So what do we got here? This is a meta Noelle team, okay? Not truly meta, but this is the kind of team that you would see new summer Noelle in, and she's doing damage, okay? I still actually, after going through these fights many times, I have more difficulty with Shadowbound Priet than I do with Summer Noelle, which is, that's remarkable. That is staggering when you really consider it, because Shadowbound Priet was a pretty easy unit to get a hold of and to get to Ascension 5 because of all the pities that they had at 100 pulls and so on and so forth. So this is remarkable. They gave us a really good unit in Shadowbound Priet, and Shadowbound Priet is still terrifying, by the way, absolutely terrifying. So you'll see that battle went pretty well for me. Their Priet wasn't very fast. Okay, now this is a older meta team, but it's still in top 5 right now in my current bracket. And so this team really doesn't even tickle my team. And just watch how this plays out here, okay? Now, Fractured Noelle, still good, not as good as Summer Noelle, not as good as NieR, and definitely not as good as Shadowbound Priet, but she is still, I would put her at the 4th best arena sniper at this point. So let's see what happens here. No damage. Look at that. Nothing. That was 6 full attacks unloading on my team, and my Yudil with his heal back up is now basically at full life. That's how incredibly powerful this team is. And by the way, I'm going to throw this out here again. friendly PSA from your neighborhood Ziggy. If you don't have Summer Noelle, get Summer Noelle. If you don't have Yule Gale, get Yule Gale. And when Anniversary comes back around in a few weeks, get a hold of Yudil, Celebratory Yudil. These three right here make an amazing team that pretty much can tackle anything in the arena right now if you have proper equipment and proper memoirs. Memoirs are a big deal. Don't renege on those. Okay, now this is another team that has given me trouble in the past, but a part of the reason why I gave my Yudil those subjugation sub-weapons was first because of this team right here, because these units are doing so much bloody damage. They've got everything in terms of debris and everything else. This is a excellent account that I'm going up against. But in part, the reason why I gave those extra elemental resistances to Yudil is so that he could soak up all that incoming damage, and then I would be able to dispatch with his team at my leisure. Okay, so you can see that went pretty smoothly for me. Performed. Oh, English. All right, anyways. Performed exactly as planned. Let's see what we got this next one. This is actually a really good combination as well. 2B, don't shirk on 2B. She's actually very good in arena with these tanky type teams because she has that chonky bold vigor. She has a very high attack stat. She's got a lot of good stuff going for her. She's a sword user, and you give her, there's any number of good swords that you can give her, either light or water, sometimes even wind, and she will do very well for you. So be careful with her. This team doesn't do quite as much, but there's another team I went up against yesterday or earlier today, I think, that had a 2B in there, and that girl one-shot my Yudil. So just, you've seen how tanky this Yudil is. That girl one-shot my Yudil, so be advised, they are out there. Another really good character that I've seen that I actually didn't go up against, I don't think in any of these fights, is Final Fantasy XIV Samurai Yudil. Excellent. You give him the subjugation staff and you hook him up with someone else, maybe light, so that you're playing tandem with those two light weapons buffing each other up and buffing his damage, and then he's got that 50% pursuit added on there and everything else, and his just absolutely monstrous attack stat. He is doing excellent work. So I think this is the last one. This is a full win. No, this is the second last one. The last one's going to be the one that terrifies me. Okay, it keeps me awake at night. This is a full win team, capitalizing on NieR because of his wind cooldown. So this is a full CDR team. You've got some really powerful characters. You've got Lavania in there, by the way, buffing the attack stat of the whole team. So in theory, this team should be doing exceptional damage, but look at where my Yudil is at. He's doing great. Now, this was a pretty meta team a few weeks ago, but because of Summer Yurie, the entire dynamic changed, and that is because of Summer Yurie. I've been playing with teams that I just hadn't really considered for a long time. So now we get into the scary one. Let's take a look at this. Okay, my NieR is set to be faster than this guy. If I had not taken away Kitty's bold vigor here, Kitty would have annihilated me. Okay, that kitty cat will one-shot your Yudil, trust me. And if a really well-built Priet is on the other team, they will one-shot your tank if they get out there before the tank fires off their ability. I'm just telling you right now, kitty cat is still very strong. Well, now things are pretty much smooth sailing. I just had to get rid of that Lars, and now everything else is good. And here's the thing, if that fight had not, let's go ahead and drop over into the team building, but if that fight had not finished off that Lars when it did, and that Yurie had been left to fire off her abilities again, I don't doubt for a second that Yurie could have single-handedly polished off my team. That's the kind of damage that you're dealing with in some of these opposing teams. So with no further ado, that was the demonstration of several different teams, several different ways of building the makeup, but it was basically two teams. The last battle was a separate team. The other 9 battles before it was the same team. I just switched up a few of the companions. Everything else remained unchanged. That's how powerful that was. So let's go ahead and take a dive into it and look at it and just see what we can get out of these new meta baby types of things. Okay, and we're back. So you can see here, I've got two teams that I've used. This is my turtle team, and then this was, I called it my hybrid team. It's just, don't pay attention to that. So these are the two teams we got here. Now let's go ahead and take a look, since this is the one that really was the showcase for this whole thing. Let's take a look at what I was talking about here, and we'll start with Yudil. Okay, first of all, you can see that I've got those two subjugations on there. The fire sword protects you against wind, as you can see here. 20% wind resistance. Boom, that is bomb. And then the next one, the Dark Fist, protects you against light. Well, why do I use light? Why do I pick light? In part because light is still very dangerous because of Priet, but also because Yudil, being a dark character using a dark primary weapon, he's going to be extra sensitive to light. And so you want him to soak up as much of that light damage as possible. So I've got the light buff from the companion, I've got the light resistance buff from both, from the companion, from the weapon, and then you'll see my debris here is 8% water resistance, and the other one, 20% wind resistance. He's covered on those three main fronts, and he still has 620,000 HP. Now granted, I have mine at Awakening 4. Also, I have him at level 100. So there's two factors that you have to consider there. If you don't have either of those things, he's going to be sitting probably much closer to 560 to 580,000. So just be forewarned for that. I don't build him with anything specifically attack-wise. I've got enough agility on him to where he goes first, and that's another thing to note. We'll talk about that in a second. You'll notice I was running them all on auto. Yudil went first, Yurie went second, and Yule went third. Why did I do it in that order? Well, because you want the heal to take effect right before the enemy starts attacking. Because if you're healing yourself while your own teams are getting off their own buffs, you're wasting a heal. And you can only do that for five turns, 5 actions. And so you want Yule to go last. The problem with this is that Yule is the fastest character. She has a bunch of innate agility. So how do you do that? You tweak it. You manipulate things a little bit. You give Yudil and Yurie a little extra agility, but the placement matters too, from what I've seen. So let's take a look at this. By the way, memoirs are all HP. Let's go back out here real quickly and look at the placement. I've got Yurie slot 1, Gale slot 2, and Yudil slot 3. For some odd reason, I don't know why, someone tell me if I'm wrong on this, but for some odd reason, whenever I tried this, slot 3 goes first, slot 1 goes second, and slot 2 goes third. So it literally changed everything when I just switched their slot placement around. So take a screenshot of this if you want to, whatever. This is the order. If you want Gale to go last, you want Gale in the middle. So that's it, FYI, now you know. Okay, let's jump over here to Yurie. What am I running with Yurie? I'm running a lot of damage with Yurie, and I'm running a lot of bold vigor with Yurie on both the Griff gun and that giant that great sword, which gives a ton of bold vigor. Now, I'm also running HP memoirs, AoE HP memoirs. So this is for the whole team, and you can see that with Gale as well. She's running HP memoirs. So this is buffing up the whole party's HP, and you can see the party across the board has got a lot of HP. So let's go back here to Yurie real quickly. I'm expecting her to do damage. I've even got the Celeb Marie debris on her. It's the first elemental temporary boost debris that I've ever got. I got the second one from Bloody Griff very recently, pulled him in a gacha. It was awesome. So now I've got a light boon and I've got a water boon. Makes me very happy. And so you can see though that she's built at 60% crit rate, over 200% crit damage. She's got decent attack on her. She's doing a lot of damage, but you'll notice I'm not putting a water buffing companion on her. She doesn't need it, but she can use that water protection companion to mitigate incoming damage. Okay, so that's that. And now we've got Gale. She's not quite at 60% crit rate, and I'm okay with that. I've tested this team quite a bit, and I'm okay with it. At some point, I'll get her up to 60% and 200% for the crit rate and crit damage respectively, but right now, it's fine. I've also got her with a debris on there that boosts the whole team's water damage. It's only 5%, but it's something. It's giving them a little extra damage. And you can see she's built for defense because she's using Lars' sword. This is Bloody Lars, the Lars that scales off of defense. And as you can see, the scaling on this guy really isn't half bad. 85% times 5, that is not bad at all. And considering that her defense is at the same level as a lot of arena teams' attacks here, She's providing herself with extra with extra survivability. She's doing good damage on that second attack because the first action, and by the way, this is happening across the board. You'll notice in some of those fights, there were 10 stacks of defense by the time they started attacking. That means 50% more defense scaling off of what they've got on their defense score. That's a lot of defense. So she's doing good damage. And this ability buffs defense for the whole team. Same with Yudil's ability on this guy. It buffs the defense of the whole team. Same with our girl Yurie here with her character skills. So by the time it gets to them attacking, the whole team has 10 stacks of defense on them, which helps. It helps for the survivability, and it helps for Yudil's damage. You can see that I've got her with this monstrosity right here, which is Abyssal NieR, 063Y, his greatsword, Liquid Boon and Bold Vigor. Awesome, deadly combo. And then I've got her with this guy, which is Liquid Boon and Aegis. Gives her more defense, gives her that extra damage on water attacks. She's doing great work. Wind Defense Companion, awesome stuff, okay? This is a deadly, deadly, deadly team, and if you can get it to work out, the timing and everything else, and also you'll notice how high the agility is on my Yurie versus my Gale. So 1312 and 1150, that Yurie barely ekes out the Gale because of the passive percentage increases to agility and everything else that Gale just has in her kit. So you gotta build up a little extra agility with your Yurie so that she can overcome the agility of Gale, and then you gotta put a lot on Yudil so that he can overcome both of them, so that he can go first. All right, so now let's look at the other team here real quickly, the other star of the show. Now, NieR is important because you need him to outpace the other team's sniper. This is purely a spy versus spy, sniper versus sniper team. It's not as reliable as the other team because there's a lot of RNG when it comes to sniping. And so what do I have on him? I've only got one agility timed weapon, which is the Subjugation Spear, but I've also got extra agility on him in the memoirs, and that's why he's got a broken set, because this last memoir here has agility on it. It has agility, crit rate, crit damage, attack. It's an excellent memoir for this kind of thing, but it does break the set, unfortunately. And you'll notice that that's on this other one as well. So I've got 2 agility memoirs just to eke him up a little bit. And what also brings him up is Lars. Lars has a passive in his character kit. So what does this do? Soldier. All allies agility up by 30%. Nothing else beats that. It is an amazing passive. I've got him with full cooldown on his weapons and Boon. And the reason why I put full cooldown on his weapons, I was originally playing with another weapon that had both the Boon, Elemental Boon, and the Pursuit, but the timing was a little off when I ran it on auto, and I want these, I'm gearing these teams to work on auto. Basically, I want these two to have their abilities ready to go at the same time that NieR has his abilities ready to go. And so you'll notice that he doesn't have any cooldown because on his secondary weapons, because his primary weapon has a much shorter cooldown time than the EX weapons, which are on my other 2 characters. Now, the same thing with Yurie here. I just gave her 2 sub weapons that give you good cooldown and give you good stats. So I could technically, instead of the gun, I could throw 2Bs, alternate 2Bs weapon on there, because it also offers liquid haste and it offers an attack buff, but I'll play with that later. This team, for what it is, serves well. It's got a little bit of protection against water, and then it's got damage up for wind and water. So again, you're looking at this straight across the board. 60%, 200% seems to be the magic working number. I didn't find that. Other people did. They've tested it. They really like it. I'm kind of going with the pack on this one, but 6,200, 6,200, and 6,200. So across the board, those stats all look really nice. Most of that comes from your memoirs, so just be advised, memoirs, again, go farm them. So this has turned into quite the lengthy explanation of how a good arena team works. Right now, again, I'm doing very well in arena. Let's see if I'm still rank 1. I'm still rank 1. I've been sitting at rank 1 here for I don't know how long, so something's working. So yeah, I'm gonna just leave it here, and hopefully this is helpful. I'm just gonna make this my ultimate arena guide too. End of the moral of the story, get Summer Yurie. She makes so many combinations possible. If you don't have Yule Gale and you've got that token that we were just giving out last week, get her. She is an exceptional unit. And if you don't have solo Yudil, well, Anniversary's right around the corner, and we're probably going to get some of those rerun banners. Those typically are very, very good. Awakening 0 Yudil is much, much better than no Yudil. That's what I'm going to say. He doesn't even get a ton from his Awakening 3 because it's Void Boon, which is great when you kind of want him to sneak out there and be a secret damage dealer, but it really doesn't bring a whole lot to the defensibility of his kit, the role that he's playing. He's not offering a team buff of HP or defense or something else like what Yurie's bringing with that team Indomitable. So you can use Yudil at A0, you can use Yurie at A0, and you can use Gale at A0 and have a wonderful team that can absolutely crush it in Arena. That's it. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you next time. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.